All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town Board meeting. Would you all please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilman Markocha.
Here.
Councilman Dooley.
Here.
Councilwoman Nicholson. Here. Councilwoman Marcotte.
Here.
Supervisor Calavita.
Here. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We have on our agenda, a public hearing to consider a license agreement between the town of Eastchester and New York SMSA Limited Partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless, which will enable Verizon to enable them the right to install and operate small wireless facilities on telephone poles within the town's right-of-way within the town of Eastchester, and this, simply stated, is for 5G service. We talked a little bit about this when we introduced this public hearing the last time, and what we need now is a motion to open the public hearing and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll on opening public hearing.
Councilman Markocha.
Aye.
Councilman Dooley.
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte.
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita.
Aye. Okay, we invite anyone to speak. Hi. This is, I know you're probably in transit while we were talking. This is for the public hearing for the Verizon, 5G application. I don't know if it's artful to call it the 5G, but I'm just going to call it that anyway. So we are now open and we're accepting comment from the public. If you'd like to speak, sure. Just tell us your name and address, and you have, 5 minutes or so.
Sure. I'll be very brief. Good evening. My name is Leslie Snyder. I'm a partner in the law firm Snyder & Snyder, and I'm here tonight on behalf of New York SMSA Limited Partnership, which does business as Verizon Wireless. As you know, we've been working with the town for some time on this agreement. We believe this will be a benefit to the town and the community. It will provide reliable wireless service to your area utilizing your existing poles. We're here to answer any questions you may have, and we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Care to speak? Oh, you're together? Okay, I didn't know. Okay. All right, I thought someone else was prepared to speak. I'm sorry. I don't recognize folks. Yes, Mr. Sweeney, your hand is up. Please join us. You know the drill.
Good evening. Frank Sweeney, 22 Lakeview Avenue, representing the North Eastchester Civic Association. I have a few questions that I've raised subsequent to other meetings, but I'd just like to raise a couple of questions that you possibly can help me with. Do we know what percentage of the residents in Eastchester are Verizon clients?
Ms. Knight, if you know the answer to the question, you can approach the microphone if you guys don't mind sharing a little socially distance, if you're aware of that. Okay.
A number. Yes, the
All
number.
right, Frank, why don't you roll through a few questions
I'll
you
go
have
through the
them, and you
questions.
can address them at once. That might be smarter, yes.
I'd just like to know whether it's 50%, 60%, or the other version is whether Cablevision is going to come back and have another proposal for what you're doing. Does the providers provide a written procedure? I'm concerned about the 5G cabling that's going on right now. I've had some good news, some bad news, but I want to know if there's going to be new cabling that has to go to the homes, and if they have to disconnect the existing cables that are at the home, who's going to take them down? We have a major, major problem in the north end of town. It's no secret. Wires are strung any haphazard way they want. I'd like that fixed. Does the town get fees paid on an annual basis or a monthly basis?
Yes, we get paid for the installations on a per installation basis, and the way our fee arrangement is structured, depending on what the FCC says is a reasonable fee, is what we get.
Okay.
It's not, it may adjust going forward, but there's a one-time fee and then a per pole or per installation fee.
Because I'm really concerned is whether I've done an inventory and I sent it to Hector, or I sent it to Rocco this past week, that they know if they're giving you reports on the connects, are they also giving you the reports on the disconnects? Because what happens is, when they come and do the disconnects, whose responsibility is it, the homeowner or the provider, to take that cable out?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, and Ms. Snyder, you correct me if I'm wrong, but the installation that we're referring to here does not go to a home, does not connect to a home. It's wireless, and it goes, at some point, I gather, down the poles, or it's just transmitted wirelessly. It is not, there's no connection to a home or a building, so there'd be no need to cut and sever or install cable, unless I could
That's
be
a positive,
correct.
then it
No, I
doesn't
think
require.
you're referring to the franchise agreement, and we're not there yet.
Okay.
Right, so we're waiting on the final, I guess, final copy or version, if you will, of the franchise agreement for both entities, quite frankly, for Verizon and for Cablevision. But this is something separate entirely. So this is to allow for, I'll call them boxes, for lack of a better term, to be installed in the town of Eastchester.
The people that I know who have installed the 5G actually had it rewired to their home. So they had the old cable taken out. So I'm not sure what this is.
That would be internet service, I mean, cable service.
Cable service?
This is not that.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. But, you know, a good thing to point out.
So we know basically on a monthly basis the number of connects and the number of disconnects. And we know where they are, I would think. The poles in town. So it may save an inventory of what I'm doing, is trying to determine whether it's a Verizon line or a cable line in terms of the capability. They should know where they are. And if
So,
they're connecting and disconnecting things in terms of the Verizon service,
You're not incorrect, but I don't think Ms. Snyder is involved in that aspect of the business. She's here to represent Verizon with regard to just these boxes. There's only, I think, 15 of them. We are going to go down the road of renewing the franchise agreement, again, with both entities, and at which point in time, we will have those conversations with Verizon and with Cablevision. I know you have been, God bless you, relentless with your emails, and I get it, I understand. The wires are all over town.
okay. The only thing is that in the particular area that we live in is both residential and commercial. And it's a very, very difficult piece of property when you're dealing with commercial property. I don't even want to mention what Summerfield and Montgomery look like. It's pretty pathetic because there's no one watching it. There's no residents there. There's some residents, but a lot of those first floor agreements are all third-party people. Connect, disconnect, disconnect, connect.
Right.
They're not paying attention to it at all. So all I want to do is make sure that if they are possibly of connecting or need to be connected, we have a written procedure in place that if we need to have the cables taken down or manufactured, whatever the case may be, we know going in that it's the responsibility of the homeowner, if that's the case, or it's the responsibility of the town, that be the case. All I want to make sure is that we get far ahead of what we have now, because it's right now not a pretty sight. That's all I have. I'll come back later, but I have a couple other things, but I do appreciate the courtesy and the opportunity to address the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You care to respond to anything, Ms. Snyder?
You know, I think you've responded it. I mean, he's referring to the landline. This is for the wireless unit for wireless capability, not the landline capability. So we won't be having to deal with, we're not connecting to homes directly or disconnecting. We're just utilizing the existing poles to put wireless service. So I think you've clarified that, but I'm further clarifying that for the record.
Right.
Thank you.
Can I ask her a question?
Sure.
I'm sorry, if you don't mind, I just have a few questions. Do you know, or maybe you don't know, but could you tell us which municipalities have already done this?
We have agreements with the city of New Rochelle, White Plains, and Yonkers, and where those municipalities, have agreements, and we're working on putting our installations on those poles. And we're pleased to come to Eastchester, and we're going to be going to various other towns to enhance their wireless infrastructure. And this will allow, as wireless gets more developed, there'll be a time where we won't need what I think the gentleman before me was concerned about, because the whole world is going wirelessly now.
Right. Okay.
Not
And then,
towards
and
the
just
land.
one more question, if you don't mind. So this is 15 boxes for, I guess, the express purposes of the 5G, right, which is fifth generation. If that, I'm assuming, is adequate to cover the whole town, and if it's not, do you come back and put more in? And
The
if
agreement
the answer is yes, would you happen to know how many?
Right. We'll have to get a permit. We have to go through your process under your agreement of what allows us, but we have an initial phase 1, and then we will be working on other phases throughout the town. So the agreement allows us to use the poles in town with the first. We've shown where the first phase is going to be, and then we will be following the agreement for the others, which is in requirements. We have to follow your code requirements.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just, how big are these boxes and how high up do they go on these poles? Just so everybody has a feel for that.
Yeah, the boxes aren't very big. We have to meet, the FCC actually has criteria, what they call small cell wireless facility criteria, and we meet that criteria.
And what, like how big?
They're, you have an idea of the dimensions that you can,
It's like this, it's like, I could say it, I saw one. It's like the size of a 5-gallon pail.
Okay.
Like you buy a pail at Home Depot or something, it's about that big, you know? Yeah, about 16 by about 1.5 feet wide.
So you won't even notice them,
correct.
most likely,
There's
yeah.
there's also some feeder boxes or collector, some apparatus down the pole.
Right, that's to bring
That's like
electricity.
shoebox size. That-
Exactly.
That's what I saw, at least. I saw some pictures of this all.
Exactly.
But, all right, okay,
Okay,
sorry, Joe.
thank you.
Anyone else upstairs seeking to comment? No, okay. Well, for the record, I want to note during the public hearing that I received 2 emails from residents that were expressing their concern and indicated that there was a District of Columbia Circuit Court, federal court matter that a decision was rendered at some point in mid-August. And the issue was the court did not find that these were unsafe or hazardous or anything like that, but they wanted the FCC to require Verizon to provide a reasonable explanation as to the need. And it was, it seemed like an unusual request, but the residents urged us not to take action immediately until there was some kind of clarity provided on this particular matter. So, I've just discussed this very briefly, with the town attorney, but I just want to say for the record, we got some correspondence from people that were saying, hey, let's check this out. Sure.
Actually, the decision that came down in August was actually reaffirmed that these installations do not have any health
Right,
effect.
right.
All it did was said that the FCC, not the carriers, should provide additional backup to support their conclusions, and it didn't require anything of the carriers. As you probably know, we have a nation that we're trying to improve our infrastructure.
Of course, yeah.
And this initiative for small cells is exactly that type of infrastructure that municipalities, such as ones we've already had, White Plains, New Rochelle, that are trying to advance their infrastructure throughout their communities, they're encouraged to do so under federal law, and we're hoping that obviously Eastchester will follow suit. There's no reason to hold off because there's nothing that has proven, and in fact they've proven that it does not have any health effect.
Supervisor, if I could respond. Ms. Snyder, I disagree with you as to it being reaffirmed. From what I read just recently, yesterday and today, my understanding was that it went back to the FCC for them to give an explanation to the court, basically saying what their reasoning was, because I think the last time they did this was 1996, and the court basically said it's arbitrary and capricious to rely on something from 1996. What's your reasoning for providing and saying these facilities or any 5G technology or wireless phones or carriers' facilities are safe. That's what they basically said, I think, from what I read.
Well,
Yeah.
If I could make a suggestion, inasmuch as I've heard from people that weren't able to make it here, and I do, from what I read myself, it appears that there's not a lot of weight behind the unsafe argument. But what I would suspect, if the board would indulge me, and I know that you guys are on a timetable, but inasmuch as these issues have been raised and there's still a lot of literature coming out, blogs and advisory opinions and whatnot about this case, maybe we could just put this on October 5th. And that will give anyone else that has a chance to email us or come to the meeting can do so. And, you know, we can all kind of saturate ourselves with regard to this August 13th decision before we, you know, confirm or ratify this or deny it, which I don't see us doing, but I think it's appropriate, and I'm saying in a very belated manner, it's appropriate, I think, based upon what we're all hearing, to, and based upon the fact we had some emails coming in, to maybe just kick this over till the October 5th meeting, at which time we can, in other words, we won't close our public hearing tonight, we'll carry it over to the next meeting, and then if anyone has a further comment about this, or you can provide us with some more information, then at that point, I think we'll be in a position to make a much more informed decision.
You know, I understand that. I just, you know, like to state for the record that actually your agreement requires us to show for each installation that we do that we comply with the FCC standards.
Okay.
You know, with all due respect to all of us, the court is very clear that the standards are still standing, and so we can't change the standards. So
Right, it won't happen by October 5th.
We're going to be showing, right?
You're saying,
we're
right.
going to show. I mean,
I got that.
a couple extra weeks isn't, you know, isn't critical, but I don't, you know, I do want you to know that we do have to show compliance for every single installation that we put in, that we comply with the standards, and that's a requirement of your agreement as well as, you know, federal law.
Yes, look, we recognize you're in a tough spot because you're representing the client and you got to push this thing forward. And I think, you know, generally people are excited about this whole thing. But, you know, when we get some emails and we see decisions, we just want to just give it a one more, you know, a good review. And then I think we'll be prepared to take action on October 5th. So, you know, we would need a motion at this point, and as much as no one else is here on this matter, we would need a motion to basically continue the public hearing at the October 5th meeting together with a second. Anyone care to make that motion?
Supervisor, I would be happy to make the motion that we keep this public hearing open till October 5th.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Second, okay. So then we would need a vote on that, and also I would indicate before the roll call on the vote that we will also tackle the secret process at that time as well. So please call the roll.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Okay, the hearing has to be continued on October 5th, same time and place. Thank you very much. Okay, that brings us over to our appointments agenda, and we have Senior Office Assistant in Recreation, and at the request of Superintendent of Parks and Recreation, Ms. Veltiti, she's requesting the appointment of Christine Magardino to the position of Senior Office Assistant Recreation. She has successfully passed the civil service exam. Her name appears on the list, 66386. She's been working for the town for quite a while and has done an excellent job. If approved, this change will be effective on October 1st, 2021, at the annual salary of $59,540, grade 7, step 1. She'll be required to serve a probationary period, which shall run not less than 12 weeks and not more than 52 weeks, and funds have been provided for in the 2021 budget. I'd be happy to move this and ask for a second, please.
Second?
Please call the roll.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next, we have the appointment of automotive mechanic, and at the request of Mr. Latella, he's requesting the probationary appointment of Antonio Gentile to the position of automotive mechanic, Group BJ, Step 2, at the annual salary of $65,163. If approved, he would be required to serve a probationary period which would run not less than 12 weeks and not more than 52 weeks, and funds have been provided for in the 2021 budget.
So
And-
moved.
Yeah, thank you. I'll second that. Please call the roll.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. I'm glad we have another mechanic on. One of our existing mechanics just submitted his resignation because he's going to become a firefighter, so we need another mechanic. So if you know anybody out there that's a qualified mechanic for hydraulics, large vehicles, and the like, and you're interested in working with the town, please let us know. Next, we have an appointment in the Highway Department of Dominic Giuliano of Eastchester to the position of laborer, Group BE, Step 1, at the annual salary of $47,897, effective October 1st, 2021. If approved, he will be required to serve a probationary period, which will run not less than 12 weeks and not more than 52 weeks. And the appointment is contingent upon the successful completion of the background investigation and the pre-employment testing. Funds have been provided for in our 2021 budget. Someone care to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next, we have a similar request from Mr. Latella for the personal probationary appointment of John Doherty to the position, full-time position of laborer, Group BE, Step 1, at the annual salary of $47,897, effective October 1st, 2021. If approved, he'll be required to serve the same probationary period, up to 52 weeks. The appointment is also contingent upon the completion of the background investigation and pre-employment testing, and funds have been provided for in the 2021 budget. I'll make the motion. Ask for a second, please.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next, we have the approval of minutes of the August 10th, 2021 meeting and the August 24th, 2021 special meeting. Any amendments or modifications?
None.
No, there being none, someone care to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Just by way of, on the special meeting, this was with regard to an agreement with Suez United Water. As everyone's probably well aware now, they are in the middle of constructing the required mandated water treatment facility on the corner of Leewood and Dale Roads. There's a tiny little piece of property that the town owns directly on the corner. It's about 40 or 50 by 60 feet. It's not buildable, it's not useful, it's on a very much of an incline. So they were asking us if we would sell the property to them. So after deliberation, they offered $75,000 and up to $90,000, which might seem attractive, but it was our position that we should not sell it, though it would be good to have a nice injection of cash into the budget for 2022. In the long run, it's not the right thing to do for the taxpayers. So we decided we would lease it to them over a long term for a couple of thousand a year, plus a rate of increase. So by the time, if you add up the math, we're going to be approximately $250,000 to $275,000 we'll get from Suez United Water during the term of the lease, as opposed to the conveyance. And obviously, they wanted us to convey it to them. And whatever supervisor is in effect at that time, once the lease expires, can set all brand-new terms, they can do it again. So in the end, it would have been nice to have the cash flow into town government, but, we're not doing greatly with our interest rates and our returns, so we decided to take the best path, the most conservative path, which will net us, a lifetime of income. So anyway, that's what that was about. And also, gave them an agreement to, put stuff on the ground and whatnot. Pipes and all. Anyway, that brings us to the reports of departments, boards, and commissions. We have the Police Department report, Chief Bonsi. We always can file our August 2021 parking summons, vehicle, and traffic violations and ordinances. Detectives report also, and our statement of accounts, which appears to be in good order. Chief Bonsi?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. On September 16th, Sergeant Andrew Wade retired from the police department. He was an 11-year veteran who unfortunately sustained an injury while making an arrest. He was unable to return to full duty. Andrew was our accreditation manager. He was our property clerk. He developed our field training program, so he was definitely very instrumental in a lot of the positive things that we have in the department, so he's going to really be missed. He was the accreditation manager that managed the last, update that we were reaccredited.
Did an excellent job.
He did an excellent job, and he was on light duty, modified duty, so he came to work even though he was on that modified duty and did a lot of these administrative functions. So during that time, he wasn't sitting home or anything, he was really trying to do his best to get back, but unfortunately, he was unable to. Like I said, he was definitely a valuable member of the department. We'll miss him. I want to wish him and his family the best. He lives in town and has a couple of young kids, so we hope the best for him. And I want to thank him for all the work that he took off of the administration's plate when he was doing those other functions. Another note on we have department interns from like Iona College, so I just wanted to let the town board know and the public. We have that program. We've kind of partnered with them over the years. We don't always talk about it here, but it's just something positive. We had 2 basketball players from Iona College basketball team over the summer. We have a soccer player in now, and we have 1 more coming in. So that program works really well, and as kind of a return, anytime we need, the Criminal Justice Department in Iona has like a police, advisory kind of committee, and the professor there, he does a lot of counseling for us and things for us for free. So it's kind of a nice partnership that we have with them, and they're able to really participate in that program well. On September 1st, a tropical storm Ida struck the tri-state area. The storm brought a deluge of rain, flooding. Numerous areas in town experienced unprecedented flooding, several feet of water. The department was inundated with calls for assistance. People were trapped in their cars, their homes from the rising waters. During the storm, members of the department acted with bravery and at great risk to their own safety. They made numerous water rescues, and they went above and beyond the call of duty, responding to calls for assistance and helping the public get into safety and shelter for the night, things like that, and answering the phone. I have a memo this is from Lieutenant Rodriguez, who was here, and he said the following members are to be recognized for their actions: Lieutenant Richard Rosenberg, Sergeant Robert Kraus, Police Officer John Rugliano, Police Officer Joe Pegna, Police Officer John Park, Police Officer Michael Loros, Police Officer Adam Said, Police Officer Nick Tadino, Police Officer Joe Batista, and Police Officer William Call. I know a couple of the officers, had to take their gear off and go in water waist high and chest high and things like that. So we were fortunate. William Cole trained as a Navy SEAL, so it was fortunate to have him on the scene. But also, just for the residents, I know I got calls on my private cell phone. People tried to get through to the police and they couldn't. The 911 system was so overwhelmed. So when our 911 positions are full, it rolls over to Tuckahoe. And, Tuckahoe police were still getting our 911 calls from the night before the next day. So it is just one of those rare things. I know it's unsettling for people to know that if they call, they're not getting through. But I know I called the desk on a private line and got one of the officers myself when I heard that. But they said that they were just so inundated, and some of these officers came in early, stayed late off their shifts, came in early off their shifts. So it was a lot of above and beyond by the officers that night. They did do their best, but there could in those really extreme rare instances where there's that many phone calls, and I've been a police officer 40 years. I've never seen, I saw videos of certain streets, and I've never seen flooding like that. I'm sure Rocco can attest to that, so it definitely, like I said, was an overwhelming, storm, and it can happen, and it may happen again. We're going to take some steps to try to, we always try to debrief and learn, if there's anything we could do better, so we will. But I think everybody did as much as they could and, tried their hardest, so. The other thing is, I know that Lieutenant Rodriguez has been working with Lou Rita, the town attorney, about the scooter law. So it is the electric scooters. We're getting tons of complaints. I know today I was driving and there was a kid about this big on one with a smaller kid on the back, like on Mill Road, you know, going across, and they really are dangerous. You know, you want to try to encourage the parents, you know, to somehow, you know, limit or get a hold on what the kids are doing and where they're going with them and things like that.
On that note, Supervisor, can I interject for a minute?
Sure.
County? Yes, Chief, I have been working with Lieutenant Rodriguez, also Lieutenant Rosenberg, and you and I have spoken. Just let the public and the board especially know there is a law, and it's pursuant to New York State law, vehicle and traffic law, it's 1282, that actually these scooters, for anyone under the age of 16, it's illegal for them to drive it, first of all.
Right.
Secondly, as you said, and I've seen numerous kids, 10 years old, 8 years old, with two people on a scooter.
Yep.
It's illegal to have more than one person on a scooter. More importantly, and I've seen these scooters not obeying traffic. They have to obey traffic signs, pedestrian right-of-ways, and all that stuff. So that's also a problem. And most important, and I've seen this on 22, under the New York State law, 1282, they're not permitted to be on sidewalks. I've seen plenty of these kids on these scooters on the sidewalk, which obviously is illegal. I think to let the board know, I've done some research and started crafting, because we have an old law from 2004, which is our helmet law, and it addresses, obviously, it's sign of the times. It didn't address these scooters. Right. So I'm in the process of revamping that law, along with probably modifying the vehicle and traffic law from the state, making our scooter law, helmet law, and then also we've had some complaints. The supervisor I know has had complaints, plenty of complaints in his office, emails to my office in the police department about also the gas-operated ones too. Those are also illegal, and I think in the next few weeks I'll hopefully have a law drafted, try to, you know, combine all those together to deal with this problem. And I think it's, you know, all over town, and I can't imagine, you know, parents not knowing where these kids are at 11 o'clock at night. But just let the parents know out there, it's illegal for your kid less than 16 years old to be on one of these scooters. So the penalties are obviously a fine pursuant to the law, but also I think to enforce this, I think I spoke to Lieutenant Rodriguez and let the parents know, we'll give a little bit of a warning, but these will be confiscated from these kids that are under 16, especially when there's two of them driving down a hill at 30 miles an hour. And actually the VTL law also addresses that it can't be greater than 15 miles per hour, which, believe it or not, some of these were going with the speed of traffic. So again, I'll try to have this done by the next meeting, sometime in October, either the 5th or the meeting after that. But I think it's important that the public know, parents know, that this is illegal for kids under the age of 16 to be driving these scooters, which I think most of the kids that have these electric scooters are all under the age of 16. I haven't seen many, maybe adults doing deliveries and stuff like that, but that's a whole nother issue. But just want to let the board and the public be aware.
It is a little challenging, and you do want to work with the public and the community and the parents to help us. I know Teresa, Councilwoman Nicholson, had come to me about the bicycles going back a couple of months ago, and we tried to reinforce. It does, I mean, I think the best you know, way that we can really attack it or tackle it, however you want, is to, you know, stop them, call the parents, give them a warning, and then, you know, if we have to, then we'll impound them and have the parents come and pick them up and try it in a, you know, in a couple of steps, so that we, you know, we get cooperation and we work
Right.
together with the community to try. I mean, the end result is you want everybody to be safe. It's a little hard. I think the law does say that you give the parent the ticket, but the parent has to be there. It's a little
Right, that's to do with the summonses, but, right, but
Yeah, but,
also,
you know.
I mean, I also noted from one of the reports, there was a kid that was injured a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
On that, so it's just accidents waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's only a matter of, like I said, the youth that I saw on it today, he was small. His sister was on the back. She was even smaller, and like it looked like an accident waiting to happen, you know?
Absolutely.
Anything else?
No, I think-
Great, thank you. Okay, Law Department report. Mr. Rader?
Yes, good evening. First, I have a resolution authorizing the supervisor of the town of Eastchester to execute the intermunicipal agreement with the village of Tuckahoe with respect to the sidewalk and curb replacement for 2021.
Yeah, this is a great idea. The next several items are all examples of the town of Eastchester, the village of Tuckahoe, the village of Bronxville, and the Eastchester and Tuckahoe school districts all partnering together and consolidating our efforts to develop an economy of scale for sidewalks, for pavement, for, a host of things that we all need concurrently. Now, obviously, the Tuckahoe School District and Eastchester School District don't have roads, but they have a lot of driveways, and they have a lot of, parking areas, and they have a lot of places that need to have sidewalks. So this is all an effort to bring the price down, to get some extra dollars socked away, and even if, we're going to keep the same budget, we can do more when the prices are lower. So we're delighted to move this forward. I'll make a motion, ask for a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll on the sidewalk and curb replacement. Thank you.
Councilman Markocha?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye.
Okay, next resolution authorizing the supervisor of the town of Eastchester to execute the intermunicipal agreement with the village of Bronxville, the village of Tuckahoe, and the Eastchester and Tuckahoe Union-Free School Districts with respect to street resurfacing for the year 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Markocha?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye.
Okay, next I have a resolution authorizing the supervisor of the town of Eastchester to execute the intermunicipal agreement with the village of Bronxville, the village of Tuckahoe, and the town of Eastchester with respect to the sharing of certain motor vehicles, mobile equipment, and tools between the town of Eastchester, the village of Bronxville, and the village of Tuckahoe.
Yeah, this is another example of shared services and equipment, and this happens all the time. The sewer rider truck breaks, we need assistance. Bucket truck breaks, someone needs our bucket truck. Small equipment, large equipment, whatever it would be, sometimes manpower on occasion, but we're all in it together, we're all here to share as much as we can, and it happens very frequently that we need equipment, motor vehicles, and the like get swapped back and forth. This particularly means, what happens if it's your Tuckahoe's using something that they got from Bronxville and it's broken, it gets broken, or there's something needs to be repaired, or on occasion, we will jointly purchase a piece of equipment as well. So this is all about that, and I think it's an excellent idea. So it's all about saving tax dollars. So I would make a motion and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilman Markocha?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye.
Okay, and last I have a resolution authorizing the settlement of a certiorari proceeding instituted by 108 Sagamore Road, affecting the premises known as Section 27, Block 7, Lot 1, 108 Sagamore Road in Eastchester. The assessment years for this property are 2016 through 2019, tax years 2017 through 2020, and the total town tax refund on this property is $1,158.87.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Markocha?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte? Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Okay, thank you. Next, we have the Highway Department report. Mr. Latella. A dry Mr. Latella.
Good evening, Supervisor Calavita and members of the Town Board. I'd like to report scheduled sanitation crews during Hurricane Ida were sent out during their the scheduled pickup days to pick up all trash and bulk items. Extra crews were sent out those days. It affected a lot of residents with the floodwaters. The department did an excellent job in picking up all the debris. I commend the department. They did a great job. Our 2021 street resurfacing work is completed. We resurfaced over 24 roadways throughout the town. We thank all our residents for their patience during those days of closed roads and detours. Crews have started to plant our fall chrysanthemum flowers throughout the town. Some areas include Garth Road and the town center. We are preparing our fall leaf equipment. This season, we have enhanced our equipment with extra street safety lighting and other safety features that include rear and side view cameras. We ask that the piles of leaves be placed on the right-of-ways so that the streets will be clear, making it safe for vehicle and pedestrian traffic. That concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor Calavera, members of the town board.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you on behalf of all the residents. I mean, I got to tell you, you drove around Scarsdale, White Plains, everywhere. There is still tons of debris piled up everywhere. I mean, we probably got about 90% of it, that day, and that was phenomenal to get out there and get all that picked up. Because, it helps people. It makes people feel a little better. They got this thing behind them. They got all the garbage and refuse out of there. I know it was not easy for the men either, because they're waiting online for hours at the facilities to dump the stuff. I know we ended up at the Murph facility on top of that. So it was very involved. But you know what? I think the extra effort was worth it. And you guys did an excellent job. There are a lot of people now that have hoppers, roll-offs in their property, the contractors. A lot of them would tell them, I'll leave it out for the town will take it. We don't take construction material. And, roll-offs are hard to come by, as was a Stanley Steamer guy, as was Ray Tone Carpet guy, or, whatever. But little by little, it's all going out. And a lot of people have, really appreciated the efforts of the Highway Department, especially with regard to, I know the pumps are active that night. We had pumps out trying to get people just rescued, basically. EFD, EPD, TPD, BPD, everyone did an excellent job. So, I can't say enough good things. And it was a long, long night. But the next day, we're right back at it, doing our regular schedules and picking everything up. So you did a great job.
There were many obstacles that whole night and afterwards, but I commend the men. They did a great job.
Yeah, they sure did.
Thank
Sure
you.
did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that moves us to the Receiver of Taxes report we can receive and file for the month of August. Also, final tax day for school taxes is Thursday, September 30th. So what we'll do is we're going to have some extended hours from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. that day. So before you go to work or when you come home from work or whatever, please, come in and pay that tax bill. So I'll have a couple extra hours to help out. Also, we have the clerk's report for July of 21. Anything further, additional? No. There being none, we'll move forward to our correspondence agenda. We have a memorandum from the controller on some budget transfers and revisions. I'll make a motion for these and ask for a second, please.
Second?
Please call the roll.
Councilman Markocha?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavera?
Aye. Next, we have a memorandum from the controller on part-time and seasonal employees. We have a couple laborers and some drivers and a crossing guard. I'll make a motion here and ask for a second.
Second?
Please call the roll.
Councilman Markocha?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavera?
Aye. Next, we have a memorandum for the Superintendent of Highways regarding permission to go to bid for foundation work for the 2021 Highway Maintenance Garage Expansion Project. And speaking of the Highway Department, in essence, if anyone knows the highway yard, the trucks have gotten large, very large, and the shop has remained the same. So presently, our mechanics have half a rig sticking out of the garage when they're working on it. And that's particularly problematic in the dead of winter when it's 5 below and they're trying to get hoses squared away or hydraulic fluid and the like. So it's been really pretty bad for a long time. It's just a bad working environment. And of course, we have to heat the place, so heat's going right out. And about a decade ago, we had to get a new boiler, replace an old one. I think it just burned out because it was just going the whole time. So it's time. So what we're going to do is basically build out from the garage, the existing garage, come out further to have a full depth for the vehicles. And the vehicles will be repaired while they're indoors. It will be a better work environment for the employees. We'll also be able to store more equipment and apparatus in there. And all in all, it's very necessary and timely. We had talked for years. People come up and say, let's get rid of that building. Let's get a brand new building, but you're talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars for a new building. So, and it was really, all the comments were, directed toward the garage. So this is kind of like an extension and improvement of the existing garage facility, which I'm sure all the mechanics will appreciate. Also, this affords us the ability to consolidate more work there, because presently a lot of work on a police cars gets done up here and down there, so pretty much the most of it's going to be going on down there. And we'll have quality lifts put in, safer, more state-of-the-art equipment. So what this is basically for is to give a green light to go to bid on the foundation work. We will do another bidding opportunity when it comes time to the structure itself, the garage doors, the electrical, the HVAC, all that stuff. But this is basically just for the pad, for the two-bay garage to enable, all of this work to go on there. It is anticipated that the project would be about $500,000, which is far shy than a brand-new building. So we need a motion to authorize the Highway Department to go out to bid for the foundation work under the maintenance garage expansion project. Anyone care to make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second? Okay, please call the roll on going out to bid for the pad.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next is a memorandum for the controller on the library capital project request. And again, this kind of falls under the same category of a very, very old structure that needs attention. Although this isn't that old, I think it was built when I was born, so it's not, it's old, but it's not that old. Anyway, what's basically happening is there's water coming into the building from the front that's below grade, where the elevator shaft is. And I think in the early 80s, an elevator was put in, and for literally for decades, we've had all kinds of water infiltration there. It was particularly bad in the recent storm, but it's been going on for a while. So what has to happen is a substantial excavation, perhaps doing the stone work over again, perhaps additional foundation work, waterproofing, backfilling, the whole project there needs to be done. Possibly, adjusting the structure depending on what they find when they actually get in there. So it's approximately a $500,000 job. The library has been able to secure a $250,000 grant from Assemblywoman Amy Paulin. Thank you, Amy, for that. And has applied for a New York construction grant through the library system, which would be another probably $100,000, and it leaves a balance of $110,000 to come from the library's fund balance, and the library has sufficient fund balance to make up the difference on this. So what the library board is asking us to do is to approve the project and transfer the $110,000 from the library fund balance to be used for the structural repair. So, at this point, I think we have really no choice in the matter. It has to get done. We can't risk any further deterioration of the building there. So I would make the motion and ask for a second, please.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. I want to thank Tracy Wright from the library, our executive director, for, doing a lot of heavy lifting for this project. We did the roof over, we did the windows, we put the patio on. So it's really, it's in kind of phases now, but this is probably the last big project there. And we also did the conference room, the meeting room came out beautifully. So it's probably, this is the last piece of the puzzle, and this should be good for another 70 years. Okay, that next brings us to a memorandum from the Superintendent of Highways regarding permission to go to bid for the, for approval of New York State Department of Transportation Supplemental Agreement number 1 to the snow and ice contract for an adjustment of our annual estimated expenditure. Long story short, the state pays us to plow White Plains Road. So we had a light winter, so they're adjusting what they're going to pay us by $824, and that is further conditioned upon the severity of the winter that will carry through to the end of this year. So if in November or December of this year we have some heavy storms, then we'll adjust in our favor again, which we normally do. So very simply, this is just an adjustment based upon the snapshot of the time we're in right now, which will be subject to and conditioned upon further adjustment down the road. So I would make the motion and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Okay, lastly is a memorandum for the tax assessor for a tax refund application for a home on Brambach Ave. And what happened simply was a senior citizen exemption should not have been removed, but it was erroneously removed, so the tax went up. So we have to give these folks back their money from the county and from the town. So it's a total tax, a town tax refund, the amount of $2,265.88. And of course, the roll has been corrected since then. Someone care to make a motion?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Okay, next that brings us to miscellaneous business. There is none for this evening. So we have council member reports. Councilman Marcoccia.
Thank you, Supervisor, and good evening to all. I hope that everyone is recovering well from the aftermath of Hurricane Ida, which was a dangerous and deadly storm. In the town and 2 villages, there was extensive property damage. People lost their entire basements, cars, and many personal belongings. However, it was nice to see neighbors helping neighbors in the days that followed. I hope that your insurance companies are doing the right thing to help financially, and you should know that FEMA is prepared to help in that regard as well. A huge thank you to our highway department as they worked incredibly hard to pick up large quantities of household items and debris from residents' homes. I'd also like to thank our police and fire departments for making brave and quick decisions to help so many people during the storm. I also want to talk a little bit about Ecap. The next Ecap Advisory Board meeting is scheduled for September 29th at 7 p.m. at the Tuckahoe Community Center. This will be our first in-person meeting since the pandemic started. Let me also provide a quick update on the programs. The Ecap after-school program has begun, and there are currently 20 enrolled children. The Ecap is partnering with Ursuline School to offer 6 weeks of tennis instruction at the Main Street Park in Tuckahoe for their children of the school. They also partnered with Bundles of Joy to provide infant to elementary-aged, school-aged children with supplies, clothing, and back-to-school book bags. Also, Project Hope is offering a program through Ecap for senior citizens. It's seniors talking to seniors about experiences during the COVID pandemic. This is held once a week. And finally, the ESL program just started up again. If you're interested in any of these programs or want for more information, you should contact Ecap, and they're happy to give you any information that you need. As you can see, Ecap is fulfilling this mission by providing many outreach programs for residents in need, and please be reminded that they also have a food pantry. I met with the director of Ecap a couple weeks ago and took a tour of the food pantry at that time. Trust me, it is fully stocked and well organized, so if you are in need, please do not hesitate to stop in. I also want to talk a little bit about our food scrap recycling program. It's a new program, and I wanted to provide an update on this initiative that the town board approved a couple of months ago. I also wanted to thank our Councilman Joe Dooley and the rest of the town board for helping with all of the logistics. The town has entered into an IMA, intermunicipal agreement, with the County of Westchester to initiate this program and is awaiting their signature. In the meantime, we have ordered 3 large containers to be placed at our highway department adjacent to the compost site. The containers, which were on back order, are now expected to be arriving towards the end of this month or early October. The next step is to get residents that are interested in the program to purchase a package which includes a countertop pail, a larger tote for taking to the DPW yard, and a roll of compostable liners along with instructions on how to use it. The approximate cost will be $20 to get started with the supplies for this food scrap recycling program. And anyone that's interested, you can contact the town or the highway department. And like I said, it's going to commence towards the end of September, early October, as soon as we get these 3 large bins in. I also want to thank the Eastchester Environmental Committee for proposing this program. They're looking forward to educating our residents on the benefits of this program. The committee, chaired by Peter McCart, will have a table at this year's Green Festival, which will be held here outside of Town Hall on Saturday, October 16th. Please stop by. Supplies for the program will be available for purchase. Also, this past weekend was quite busy. There were a lot of events, and I know that I and the supervisor and many others attended a lot of them. The Green Knolls Block Party was one of them. It was a beautiful day, and especially nice to see so many kids out playing. We also had good conversations with many of the residents. We also attended the Tuckahoe Police Organization annual fundraiser, and although it was a different venue this year, it was well planned and organized. I hope they raise plenty of money, as lots of it goes back into the community with all the functions they run throughout the course of the year. They are an excellent police department, and we wish them continued fortune. We also attended the Bronxville versus Tuckahoe youth football game at Handle Field under the lights. What a great game and experience for all the kids and parents. Congratulations are also in order for Carmine Pisacreta, who started the Eastchester Youth Soccer League 45 years ago. The league started with a few dozen kids and has grown to over 1,700 players today. this past Sunday, at Dunwoody Field, we had a rededication in his name, Carmine Pizzicreta. I had the good fortunes to play in that league for many years, starting in 1977, which prepared me to play in high school at Iona Prep. My soccer career ended after my first year of college, but what a foundation it provided me and many others that participated in this program. Great job, Carmine. We know that the future of EYSA is as bright today as it was then, and sky's the limit for it. I also want to congratulate the Knights of Columbus on their centennial. Many of us on this board were at the dinner they hosted, and it was a great time. The Knights have been serving our community through works of charity and mercy, and we wish nothing but continued success for the council moving forward. Also this weekend, I attended the Eastchester Fire Department annual barbecue. I want to thank them for all they do for Eastchester, Tuckahoe, and the Bronxville communities. As you can imagine, they were incredibly busy with the recent storm Ida that caused a sense of flooding, and they were there to help as many people as possible. Finally, I was able to go to the Broncos soccer tournament this past Saturday at Bronxville High School Field. It's always a great event, and congratulations are in order to the Broncos soccer team for taking first place in this year's tournament. Great job. And finally, I just want to give an update on Lake Isle. Following last year, where we had so much uncertainty in our lives, Lake Isle bounced back this year in a tremendous way. With the easing of the state mandate guidelines, all of our Lake Isle members returned with such enthusiasm and excitement as they enjoyed a very nice summer. Many of the programs made it back on the calendar, and everyone enjoyed swimming daily and playing a lot of golf and tennis. We thank all of our members for returning and supporting our beautiful club, which is here for all residents to enjoy. Coming off the summer season, Sport Time Tennis has now put the bubbles, and indoor tennis has begun. Plan to enjoy tennis this winter in a climate-controlled environment, and you can call Sport Time at 777-5151 to enroll. Also, Gigante's Restaurants continues to offer outdoor dining by the poolside at the adult pool. Please call them directly to book your dinner reservations. And golf continues and is one of the best times of the years to play. So for those who are not members and would like to play some fall season golf, please visit our website at www.lakeislecountryclub.com for more information and to book a tee time. And finally, the annual meeting for Lake Isle Advisory Board is tomorrow night, 8 p.m. in Molino's Grand Ballroom. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Dooley.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Yeah, I'd also like to thank the Highway Department, the Police Department, EMS, the Fire Department, and the Parks Department. Everybody just did a fabulous job in the aftermath of Storm Ida. I heard stories from everybody on all fronts, on all the help and just how great, every one of those organizations stepped up to things. So thank you very much for that. Just on the Parks Department, I know Bronxville Field was flooded and they couldn't use it for their football game, so the Parks Department arranged so that the Bronxville football team could have their varsity home game up at Handel Field. It was a great night. Just a great sharing of facilities. So just kudos to the Parks Department there for that. Just a great job all around. Also, with respect to EMS, with EVAC, I don't know if everybody knows, but they survive pretty much on insurance payments and donations. They're self-funded pretty much, so they're always looking for donations, or they're also always looking for volunteers. But if you want to see all the great work they do, I would encourage you to look at their website, eastchesterems.com. That's eastchesterems.com. And just a couple of notes on upcoming events. The Irish, the Italian golf outing is back on this year. Last year was canceled. That'll be October 4th. And it's really nice to see that they're also using Lake Isle for that. So it'll be a great day for the Irish and the Italian in Eastchester up at Lake Isle on October 4th. And as we get close to Columbus Day, the parade this year is back on. So the parade will be held on October 10th. And the festival will also be around the parade there, so it'll start on the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And this year's Grand Marshal will be posthumous, it'll be for Glenn Bolito posthumous. He'll be our Grand Marshal. So it was nice that the committee selected Glenn to be their Grand Marshal. So thank you there. And lastly, I'd just like to mention on the library, Tracy does a great job over there, but also she has a great board, and I know they had a hand in all these activities, the windows, all the remodeled kitchen and break area, and then the special area where they can hold meetings, and also the upcoming work for the damaged area by the bathroom and the elevator. So great library board, and I know they do a lot of the heavy lifting there, so thank you there. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nicholson.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, everyone. There are a few announcements from the Superintendent of Parks, Recs, and Senior Program Services, Sally Velditi. On the seniors, both the Garth Road Senior Center and Lake Isle Nutrition Center are back up and running with many seniors visiting. If you'd like to know more information, log on to www.eastchester.org in the Senior Program and Service section. If you have any questions, feel free to call the senior office at 914-771-3340. A quick message on from Parks side, fall sports are now in full swing. Please note, be careful and drive slowly when traveling around town. There are a lot of players entering and exiting the fields, especially on the weekends. It's a busy time of the year. Today is the last day of summer, and tomorrow is the first day of fall. And message from recreation side, we have the Eastchester 5K this Sunday, September 26th, starting at 9 a.m. at Eastchester Town Hall, and there's still time to register online at www.eastchester5k.org. You can also see the route, so please log on to the website. And on behalf of the EIBL and other youth volleyball clinic, teen scene, and all the Halloween events will be on town's website next week. So there too, you could log on to www.eastchester.org in the Park and Rec section for more information. And there is the last concert next Tuesday, the makeup concert of Bookends at Garth Road, Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. That'll be Bookends at Garth Road, makeup concert. And on behalf of the Eastchester Rotary Club and the Foley Family Foundation, we have this exciting Never Forget 9/11 mobile museum that will be here in our Eastchester at Lake Isle next week on September 29th and 30th. This was founded in 2013. The museum has traveled across the country and is filled with artifacts from the tragic day. Members of the FDNY will be on hand to talk to the visitors. This mobile museum will be open from 9 to 4. We have visiting schools between the hours of 9 and 2 on both days from Tuckahoe and Eastchester High School will be visiting, and the public is welcome to enjoy this and get informed. And that will be from 2 to 4 p.m., both on September 29th and 30th. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Councilwoman Marcotte.
Thank you, Supervisor. Just a few announcements. The New York Presbyterian, Lawrence Hospital, and the Community Fund of Bronxville are bringing you free flu vaccinations for 2021. So it's no appointment needed, but mark your calendars. The first series, I guess, if you will be Friday, October 15th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Bronxville Courtroom in Village Hall. Then again, Thursday, October 21st from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Eastchester Public Library. And Wednesday, November 3rd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Tuckahoe Community Center. Again, it's no appointment, it's free, it's brought to you by the Community Fund and New York Presbyterian Lawrence Hospital. If anybody has any questions, they can call 787-6060. Also in the village of Bronxville, they did have a car show that was scheduled for Thursday night. That was at Parkway Road. They have since canceled it. It is due to be, I guess, raining on Thursday, so they have all those beautiful cars and they can't have them out in the rain. So hopefully they will be rescheduling that. There is the Bronxville Sidewalk sale this weekend, beginning on Friday, September 24th and 25th. This is brought to you by the Chamber of Commerce. Please shop local, shop often, shop all the small stores if you can. And Bronxville Police Department and the Tuckahoe Police Department are welcoming everybody to a cookout on the Bronxville Village lawn on Saturday from 12:30 to 2:30. So a great combined effort there by our men and women in blue. Also wanted to mention Oktoberfest in the village of Bronxville. This is going to be held on Sunday, October 10th at 2 p.m. on Park Place. That's going to have music, food, and drinks, so please mark your calendars for that. And tomorrow evening is the Eastchester Historical Society annual meeting. This is something that we do every year. Unfortunately, we were not able to have it last year due to the pandemic. It is going to be at 7 p.m. at the Tuckahoe Community Center, and it is an RSVP event. If you are interested in coming, if you could reach out to myself, you can email me at the town website, or I'm sure you could call the supervisor's office and they'll get the message to me. It starts at 7. Again, it's our annual meeting, and it is to be followed by a presentation, a play, if you will, with we've got some actors and some period costume to talk about the historical importance and significance of the Ward House during the American Revolutionary War. So a great story, a lot of history there. Again, it is an RSVP event. Please reach out if you would like to attend. Space is limited. We're going to be doing some partially socially distancing. Masks are optional. If you want to wear them, that's fine, but we do hope to see you there. And I, too, would like to join my colleagues in government in just saying thank you to the men and the women of all of the police departments, the fire department, and, of course, EVAC. What a tremendous job, what an incredible experience, and most of us were sitting at home on our couches, right, watching these horrific pictures and looking at them on Facebook when they were out there actually in them. I read one post where the chief alluded to it with the dispatching. They were self-dispatching at one point, if I'm not mistaken. It was just trying to keep on top of everything and get out there and help the residents. So God bless all of you. DPW, of course, as well. One day the streets were lined with, sadly, people's belongings, and the next day they were gone. So that was a tremendous undertaking by all of those men and women as well. So that, Supervisor, concludes my report.
Thank you. My own report, a couple of things. Sunday is also Gold Star Mother's Day. And if people are familiar with it, you know what that means. If you're not, when your child went into the service, you put a blue star in your window. And unfortunately, if your child was killed in the service, military service, you put a gold star in your window. So this is an event that is sponsored by our Eastchester veterans, and it recognizes all of the women in our community that have lost a child through a military effort. And the Gold Star Mothers are not just in name, they also are an organization. And what they do is they give consolation and comfort to people that have lost children in war and help them cope. It's really quite remarkable that although they endure their own loss, they're out helping others. That's Sunday morning also, and I thank our veterans for putting that together. I had the occasion to go to the firefighters' picnic. It was a lot of fun. Right before then, though, I decided to take a walk around the back to the famous dam that the Journal News reported is in imminent danger of collapsing, like it's like a very brittle structure. Didn't budge an inch in Hurricane Ida. And matter of fact, it looked pretty darn good to me. So I was thinking about that. And as I was there, I was speaking to people that lived in Interlake, because the barbecue took place on Interlake and on California Road. And they were like, yep, this thing is still hanging in there. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. Anyway, but we're going to be forwarding, a lot of ideas and plans and bidding out in the very immediate future. We had a couple of court decisions that came out that we have to adjust what we're going to do and how we're going to handle the projects, but it's all moving forward pretty quickly. Also, this week we have a meeting regarding Lord and Taylor. We're going to meet with the owners of the property to start to talk about, get a dialogue going about what they envision for the long-range plan for that facility. Presently, they have planning board approval for, short-term offices and temporary use of that facility, but I think their end result will be rather different than that. So we're going to meet with them, hear what they have to say, start a dialogue, and, see what goes on there. I suspect it'll be a pretty substantial project. It probably would take a couple of years to get through, to get approval, and to also commence. But, we're prepared. We know what we think is best, and we'll work with them and, see what we can't do to do the best we can for that whole section there. Also, the town of Eastchester went out recently for a little over $2 million on a TAN, a tax anticipation note. And based upon our financial strength and our excellent financial management, I want to thank Dawn Donovan, who's here also, we were able to secure a 0.24 interest rate. So we're not even paying 0.25% interest on the monies that we're borrowing because of our AAA rating, because of our reserves, because of all of the financial action that we've taken, conservative action we've taken to protect the town's assets. So very delighted to report that. Not that we're going to go on a wild spending spree, but the point is that's an exceptionally low rate for a couple $1 million of borrowing. Also, the community center is rapidly coming to an end. Thank heavens. Hallelujah. It's been quite a long time with between the footings and COVID and then the shortages. We're rolling along very quickly. The doors are going in. The floor is going in. All the toilets, sinks, all that stuff is all going in. We're starting to amass the furniture for placement within the unit. The ceiling is in. We just had our recent pressure test from Con Ed. The plumbing test is coming up. It's all advancing very quickly. We've done planting on the outside of the building. I want to thank Jerry Mignon, who donated all the sprinkler system for the outside of the building. It'll be paved shortly, probably I think by Thursday or Friday it's supposed to be getting paved. That'll wrap up, and the last thing we'll do is we're going to put the awning on the front once everything is in and all the final dimensions are worked out. But thank God that's moving together very quickly and coming to a close. Also, I'd like to mention that down at Leawood Park, we've all been discussing the, benefits of a gridiron field or tennis court replacement. Right now, we're getting costs in regarding the tennis play area, new courts, perhaps an expansion of the courts, perhaps an extra basketball court. So we're getting pricing, and Sally Veltiti and I are working with Franco, of course, with all the local contractors, DeRosa Tennis, and all these other sport tech groups that do tennis facilities. So we're going to look at that, get an idea there. We have also some numbers from the turf companies that put in these installations, so we'll have to deliberate and figure out what the best plan of action is. Probably likely that with Scout Field coming back into play, we may end up with renovation of the courts there. It certainly is time. Those courts have not done well over the years, and that's really the last segment of the town that needs a little bit of renovation. Every one of our parks and every single one of our ball fields have been renovated extensively over the years. Everyone, all the ball fields, the Little League fields, TYA, Cooper, Dunwoody, Scout, you name them all. Even the parks with playgrounds have all been renovated. Every single one has been renovated substantially. Some of them have had multiple renovations, but Leawood Park tennis courts have not. We've been patching the patches, and it's time to put together a nice tennis facility there, if that's what the collective decision of the board is. And maybe do a little more in the basketball area there, because one court's good. We have two down at Garth Road. Maybe a second court there wouldn't be a bad idea, because a lot of kids play basketball in the town, and they don't really have a lot of places to go. The Ann Hutch basketball courts aren't that great. Greenvale, I don't even know if the courts are still up there. But we have Dunwoody, we have Garth Road, and it'd be nice to have something more in the middle of town. Anyway, so we're working on Leawood Park. And then lastly, during Hurricane Ida, we've all spoken about it, but we had a little bit of a calamity at the pools at Lake Isle. There was a wooden railroad tie retaining walls that were in between the the large Olympic pool and the playground area, which is where the kiddie pools are. And I got a call from George Papadimitriou. We went down there, Gosha and I and George, and it was totally caved in. Not only had the wall failed, but all of the mud had slid into the pool, and it was brown like, like the Bronx River, which is really disappointing because that was Labor Day weekend. And I know that the caterer was hoping for a very busy weekend up at the adult pool. And I know everybody, it's beautiful weather. After the storm, it was gorgeous weather. But unfortunately, we couldn't open the pools. The filtration system had been compromised. And, all the electrical stuff, we didn't know whether or not it was still connected. So erring on the side of caution and being very protective and safe, we decided to close the pools just for that last weekend. But the emergency is being repaired. Luckily, the sand and fill in the playground area only migrated partially into this collapsed area. Otherwise, the kiddie pools would have gone in too. So, again, we always look on the bright side of things, right? So we'll have a new stone wall. We'll be down a couple of feet from the existing wall that was previously there. We'll have a beautifully tamped upper deck, which will be great for the new playground that we're putting in. We have almost $250,000 worth of playground equipment and that rubber flooring going in for next season. So this will provide us with an opportunity to get a really good sub-base in, to put that in, and we're going to expand, the decking area. Also have all brand new fencing. So although, we cuss Hurricane Ida, looking on the positive side of things, at least the facility will be improved. It'll be all the more strong for another 50 years to come. I think that retaining wall literally was probably there since the pool was installed. It's amazing it didn't come down a little earlier, but certainly Ida did its number on there. Anyway, and that concludes my report. I don't be repetitive, but thank you to the Highway Department, Fire Department, and the Police Department, and of course EVAC for doing the right thing during Hurricane Ida. And hope everybody's drying out. I visited probably 15 homes and different parts around town trying to figure out what we can do in the future to alleviate the problems. But I think no matter what anybody would have done, 7, 8 inches of water in a 3-hour period is just, it's just impossible to deal with. But anyway, we're here now. We're all okay. Nobody passed, thank God, in the town of Eastchester. Though people were, hurt, but still everybody's okay. Anyway, so that concludes my report. That brings us to the second opportunity to address the board. I wonder if you could please check. Thank you. Good evening. Please give us your name and address.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor. Ken Simonides, 144 Anderson Avenue. Good morning, good evening, members of the board. I'm here tonight because this situation with my stepson is ongoing, continuing, and now it has become personal, where the attacks are being directed towards me by the chief of police. I have an email here, a FOIL request from him, and I'm going to read it to the board if you'll entertain me. It has come to my attention as a taxpayer in Eastchester Fire District that firefighter Kenneth Simonides was out injured on a 207A injury, job-related. I was not. Haven't been on a job-related injury. And it also states in this that I was working a second job at the Home Depot in Thornwood. I haven't worked at Home Depot in Mount Pleasant, not Thornwood, since 2016. It seems to be common knowledge around the town, and knowing that you're professional and having great respect for leadership in the fire district, if it is true, I know you would have addressed the issue and discipline would have been issued. I'm requesting the following records and documents be provided to me under the provisions of New York State Freedom of Information Law. Requested records and documents from the Eastchester Fire Department. Any and all records related to complaints received and/or disciplinary actions taken against firefighter Kenneth Simonides during his career with the Eastchester Fire District. A summary of attendance records for firefighter Kenneth Simonides, including dates that he was on taxpayer-subsidized 207A leave, and any other records reasonable under the law. I'm requesting that these letters be sent to me in electronic format to his email address and to his attorney. Thank you for your attention to this request, signed Timothy Bonsi. Now, this is purely retaliatory harassment by the chief, because this was dated April 14th, 2021. I spoke at the March meeting, and I spoke at the April 13th meeting. And at 4 o'clock that afternoon, the next day, he sent this to my job, trying to create problems for me. Now, like I've said to you before, Mr. Supervisor, and you know my reputation, I don't cause trouble for anybody. This has now become personal, because now he's attacking me. Who's going to be next? My wife? My daughter? This has got to stop. And it's up to you and the board to discipline this man, and I want an investigation conducted on him, like an investigation was done on me. I got called in for a disciplinary hearing based on this, and I was going to come speak at the June meeting, and the meeting conveniently got shut off before I was allowed to come in. And you had made a comment that I could come in and speak to you and to the board, and I said, no, I want him to be in here. And as I was coming in, he deliberately bumped into me in the hallway to try and provoke some type of negative response. I won't lower myself to his standards. So I'm respectfully requesting you and the board to investigate this guy. He has to be brought under control. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Good evening. Please give us your name and address for the record, though we know who you are. Some people at home may not.
Makes it sound like I'm infamous. My name is Ellen Del Cole, and I live at 10 Field End Lane here in Eastchester. Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. I am delighted that you brought up scooters because I feel like having, and I should say that all of my comments are based on TPAC, Traffic and Parking Advisory Committee to the town. We've heard a lot about them. I'm frankly very jealous because I never had one. But they've become very convenient because parents can't be everywhere, and they're using them almost as a shuttle for the older child to take a younger child somewhere else in town. And I actually have spoken to a couple of the kids, and I'm surprised because of how young they are, and that's already been mentioned. But if anybody would have told me even a year ago that I would know what section, 34D and article or section 1281 and 1282 pertaining to ages and what you have to wear and the scooters themselves, I would have said, that's insanity. We're never going to get to that point. But they are a problem. And it's not that we're trying to be old people and really grumpy. I worry about the safety, as does the committee, for young children, particularly because they don't have a sense of danger. I'm also astonished at how few are wearing helmets. Now, we've made a point on the public access channels, and Councilwoman Marcotte and Lieutenant Bernstein have been very supportive, both on the community channels as well as on Facebook. We've put up artwork reminders for everything from traumatic brain injury to school reopening, et cetera, in the hope of quietly and gently getting a message across. But there's nothing funny about not wearing a helmet. And we wouldn't say it if we didn't care about the kids in the community. We really do care, and it's become serious. And as much as I'd like to think that we're all responsible, we're not. And the young person I spoke to the other day, who I found out had just had a 12th birthday and this was a gift, I asked if his parents had taken him out on it. And he said, yeah, we went to see how fast it would go. And that wasn't the answer I wanted to hear. I asked if he had a helmet. He said no, he only had to wear it when he was on his bike. And I think we just have to look at things differently. I'm delighted when Chief Bonsi brought it up, and I know the committee will be equally pleased. I'd also encourage people to like us on Facebook if you're on social media, because we will put upcoming meetings. We have another meeting next week, Tuesday night. We'll be upstairs in the community room, and we're anticipating having a pretty good crowd for that. I'd also ask if neighbors could be more aware if they themselves or their guests are parking on a given street, particularly if there's a bit of a curve in the road, because it really has an impact on the line of sight, and that seems to be a lot of the complaints that we're getting right now. And we're not looking at putting up more stop signs. We're not looking at putting in speed humps, because frankly, they're ugly, and they're not always necessary. But it's a matter of maybe taking a walk and looking around and seeing, if you were in a car, could you see past that area? It's very simple, and if it bothers you, perhaps you say something to the homeowner. Again, it's not always a comfortable conversation to say, you know, do you have to leave your car there? But perhaps it's a good conversation just to say, you know, I don't know if you realize, without being confrontational, because the TPAC, we don't want to keep telling people to, or making recommendations to the town, and that's part of my next piece very quickly, is to say, stop signs don't go up just because we plant them. There's a process. It goes through the police department. The TPAC to the police department is a recommendation. The highway department gets involved, looks at the site. The town attorney will look at it. The town board votes on it. But there's a method to putting things in. And it's not to restrict your freedoms in any way. It's simply to protect. And if you see something like speed trailers up in your area, please respect them. There's a reason why they're there. We've gotten complaints. They're all over town. Everybody has people driving 60 miles an hour, which we know for a fact isn't true when we get the reports back from the speed trailers. But we've contacted several homeowners groups, and what you're going to find with enhanced enforcement is that the people who get tickets are your own neighbors. They're in the neighboring streets. It's not like people are coming from outside areas. So I guess it's, again, you have to police yourselves. We appreciate everything that we get at TPAC. We take it seriously. We can't always come up with a quick resolution for you, but we certainly have a group of people who are very dedicated to going out and looking at what the problem is on more than one occasion. And I have never, that I can recall recently, acknowledged people, but it's Thomas Fix, Charles Galenick, John Walzer, Donato Vaccaro, and they're wonderful volunteers in this committee. We take it very seriously because we want people to be safe, and particularly the kids in town. All we're doing is looking out for situations not to happen. We don't want want some child to be a statistic. We can avoid that, and it's just keeping a little bit of an eye out for each other and being a good neighbor. My public service announcement for the night is, though, I gave to EVAC, and I hope everybody else does too. Maybe it's not at the level that they were asking, but do something, because without EVAC, we'd be in a lot of trouble. They are outstanding, and they certainly prove themselves along with other town services over the past week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service on TPAC. That's a tough job. Everybody's so territorial about traffic and parking, so I know your hands are full, but you guys have handled it beautifully.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Do you have anyone else? Good evening.
Good evening, Supervisor Calavita, town board members, and other participants. I just want to ask a quick question before I start.
Just give us your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Sorry. Karen Connolly Shively, 20 Brassey Road. Is there a statute of limitations on objecting to minutes of one of these meetings? Like if I want to, it was the one I was at in April that I just want to either add an addendum to or...
Well, no, because we approve the minutes, but you can make your comment on this record, and that will be a part of that record vicariously.
Okay, I don't want to do that now because I want to go on with my other thing. So first of all, Mr. Calavita and the town board members do a great job running our beautiful and safe town with the assistance of a top-notch town hall staff. Our police department, fire department, and EMS are professional, efficient, compassionate, and all deserve our greatest respect. Our schools are excellent. Our sanitation and highway department does an amazing job. If someone such as I comes to the town meeting in disagreement with Mr. Calavita or the board, even vehemently, we are not being disrespectful of your work. Just wanted to start with that. Thank you. So last September 2020, I saw a picture on Facebook of some of our officers in dress uniforms in front of Town Hall, and it was posted on Thank a Police Officer Day 2020. And I was disappointed I had missed it. I thought it was an actual event, but Chief Bonsi explained to me that the pictures were from, I believe, May and other events. So anyway, I thought this day, which was September 18th, just this past Saturday, would be the perfect day for the entire community, Eastchester community, to demonstrate how we appreciate, respect, and back our police officers. I know I do. In May, I emailed the entire town board and the police department about planning an event for September 18th, 2021, which was National Thank a Police Officer Day. I offered some ideas and asked how I could make it come together. I received a reply from Mrs. Marcotte only, saying there would be enormous support, and I replied that I look forward to planning with her. I emailed the entire town board and Supervisor Calavita on August 8th, reminding them that Thank a Police Officer Day was just 6 weeks away. I asked questions about how to approach an event like this because I had never put one on, like the steps that had to be taken and so forth. Absolutely no one replied to me at all. Later that month, the end of August, I emailed Mayor Andino and CC'd the board. This email, I brainstormed even more ideas of how we can involve the kids in the community and even the teenagers, because I think we all know that they are the next generation and the kids that we really have to reach now. The little ones absolutely love our police officers all the time. We have to work on that relationship with the older kids. So anyway, she emailed me back, Mayor Andino, and said she didn't think Tuckahoe could get it done this year. And again, that's understandable. I emailed her on August 29th, as opposed to May 19th, 5 months ago when I emailed this board. I understand that the town board members, are independent from each other and from the supervisor. Although sometimes you run on a platform together, you're indeed representatives of the community, all of us, and individually you represent all of us. Therefore, they can have positive discussions with community members as long as unrelated to confidential, personnel, legal, financial, or public safety matters. Can I ask then, Councilman Marcocia, why didn't you email me back?
You need to address the chair.
I'm sorry, I know, and you have to...
It's okay, but I think the issue here is simple. I did not respond. I apologize for not responding because I should have. I was discussing the matter with the chief and with the head of the union because we've been doing our negotiations on our police contract. And they were not, there was not any spontaneity or interest in doing that because they prefer May as, you know, that's Police Memorial Week and it's a little more, they feel that that's a better time to do something like that. And I should have communicated that to you, but I did not. I thought you had shifted gears and went into Tuckahoe and we're going to do something down there.
No, sir. I mean, I emailed all of you initially in May, and thank you for apologizing, but yes, you should have responded to me. Mm-hmm. And then I emailed again in August and wasn't responded to again by anyone. So can you ask somebody else to tell me why they didn't? I know you talked to Chief Bonsi and the union in your negotiations, but can you please ask one of them to answer me?
Well, it's more my responsibility than them. But
yeah, but why not? Why? I mean, thank you, Councilwoman Marcotte. I mean, she replied to me, so I don't understand why, like, I can't ask now, because it's not really like a debate. I know there's the Robert's Rules of Orders and order of it and everything, but why can't I ask? I don't
You can
understand.
ask. They're free to make a comment if they like.
Oh, okay.
There's no restraint.
Because I asked Councilman Markowski.
I know, he's supposed to go through the chair. You say, is it okay?
Okay.
But
Is it
it's
okay?
It's a minor detail. That's
Okay, Mr. Marcocia, so I'm just curious why you wouldn't respond after being emailed 3 times to a community member.
Well, like the supervisor said, it was looked into. There was not interest in doing it on the day that you suggested. Frankly speaking, Thank a Police Officer Day should be every day. There's plenty of times when I've sat here and praised our police officers, just like I did tonight in my remarks. All police officers, for all the work they do every day of the week, 365 days a year. I understand where you're coming from. You want to do something on that day. Just because we're not doing something on that day doesn't mean we don't appreciate them every day. And, the communication back and forth should have been communicated better. I agree with that. That's basically where I am on that.
So just let me ask you a question. So you were in the same conversation with Chief Bonsi and Supervisor, sorry, getting nervous, Mr. Calavita, and I think you said a union member. You were in that same conversation, so you knew there was no interest.
Well, I don't know if I was in that same conversation, but I had conversations, but failed to respond to you.
Oh, and other people said, nah, that's not a good idea?
I think the department was not inclined to do that because they remember yourself and several other people came to this microphone and were very much objected to the Back to Blue event. I haven't spoke to them about that, but I suspect that's probably something that was a factor in their conversations.
Mr. Calavita, I never came to this microphone and objected to that. I was never here objecting to that.
Okay, I remember.
You and I had a conversation on a Lake Isle
perhaps
board
that was it. Okay.
meeting.
Yeah. But there were many people that came here that were criticizing the event, and I think they were a little bit upset about it. And perhaps, perhaps erroneously, they felt you were involved with that as well. I don't know.
You know what? Tim and I had a conversation after the board meeting. It was after that event. I was outside for about an hour and a half, and one of the police officers mistakenly thought I was part of a group that was there. I stood by myself for about an hour and 15 minutes. I think I talked to them for 2. So when he asked them to elect somebody to come in here, they did, and then you adjourned. I was so upset. And I don't even want to go, I wasn't even planning to go back to this. But in August 2020, as you know, I felt really sad and angry about a post on the Republican Committee's website. And I asked, you guys to address it, and you ignored me. So it's like a pattern now. That's why I'm getting angry now.
Well, we don't do politics at board meetings, if that's what you're referring to.
No, sir. I emailed all of you and just said how upset I was reading a post
Right.
that whitewashed everyone, not, a member of that committee, as not respecting the police, not pledging, not standing for the Star-Spangled Banner, not respecting the military. And that's what I tried to come to that September and speak about being really hurt. And Tim, I hope you remember, but that was the main reason for the email and for coming here. And I was pretty distraught about this town because, as I've said before, I've lived here all of my life, okay? And that was my whole reason for the email about that post and for talking about the Back to the Blue event. Nothing really political except what was being brought down to this town that unfortunately had been happening at the national level. So, if you want to, I can go through the entire timeline of where I was, what meetings I spoke on, about.
Well, perhaps it would be more fruitful and more appropriate if we work together on another event that we can do for the department. If you feel strongly about it, then I know in January, I think it's January 17th, there's a day in January that is often recognized for officers, and maybe in our week of, May, in our week of, recognition of police efforts, because we have our memorial ceremony and we have commendation ceremonies also, we could do something along those lines. But we'd have time, we'd have put it together, because, you have to have budget, you have to have personnel, you have to all the stuff.
Right, that's what I had no idea about. That's what I needed some guidance from the town board about. I wasn't doing anything political. And Mr. Marcocha, I respect and thank them every single day.
I didn't
Right?
say you didn't. I didn't say you
No,
didn't.
but I'm just saying, so you're saying we didn't need a day, and now I will get political. 1 second, let me do that for a minute, please. So does that mean the Back the Blue event wasn't necessary? Because I back our officers every single day, and I imagine you do, so why was Thank a Police Officer Day not necessary, but the Back the Blue was? Can you explain that?
I didn't say it wasn't
say it was not necessary.
I didn't say it was not necessary.
You did. You said we don't
No,
think
I didn't. I did not say that. I said every day you should thank a police officer. It just so happened on that particular day, we didn't have an event. But it doesn't mean you cannot have an event, as was just suggested at some later date or some earlier date.
Oh, no, I know, and thank you, Supervisor. I better just say Mr. I can't.
It's all right.
Now Supervisor
You can say
tonight.
Tony.
I know, Tony.
Yeah.
No, I realize that, and I probably took your words incorrectly, but I thought you were saying that because we thank them every day, that there was an interest in last Saturday. So if that's not what you were saying,
Not at all.
but, it's the same thing with the other event, and I think everybody in this town would really have liked to honor the police.
Well,
Can I just ask, I'm sorry, go ahead, Tony.
I want to reiterate my apology for not getting back to you. And, if your interest is genuine, I believe that it is, we could probably sit with some members of the department and come up with something, something special. Like they have they do special stuff where they have coffee with the cop and
Yes.
ice cream and all that. We could, some event like that, or an appreciative day, we could maybe do something, that they're supportive of and that, we could raise some funds at, or do something, come up with something creative.
Well,
But
like my second, I think it was my third email, was like super creative, because I thought about it for a hell of a long time. So maybe we can go back, go back to that. No, I'm just saying.
Kids, I know you might reference kids and doing some kind of stuff, but I think the officers, are, if we discuss it with them and go over what we want to do with them, because, they probably have a lot of solicitation and stuff, but I think if they felt strongly that it was something supportive and appropriate, that they would be behind it.
I tried to involve the department as well, but I wasn't responded to that time.
If I could just say,
Sure.
we do our memorial service, public's invited, and Tony can attest, and the town board knows, that there's like a contractual, element to that everybody has to be there that day. Weekends are very tough to get officers. They work weekends.
Oh, sure, right.
So it's hard to get them to come here on a Saturday or a Sunday. Like during the COVID at the end there, people bring us food and everything during the week when there's a change in tours. And, we had a lot of that, but during the week is a much better time. Like, it's hard to ask guys on their own time to give up time with their family. Now, they appreciate that you want to honor them.
Right, I understand.
Don't take any disrespect from that, but it is hard. And as Tony and I discussed, they're in the middle of having like their Joe DePippo Memorial Scholarship golf outing, and they're like, every day, getting solicitation, and so they're busy doing that this time of year. I think it's next Tuesday or so.
Right.
So it wasn't any disrespect that they didn't want to have it. It's just that I know it's difficult, even though you want to honor them, to get people. You don't want to have a ceremony and, people have plans on weekends, weddings, especially, some of those emails were in August. I was on vacation, someone else was not, even just to get a consensus from
From the,
who's going to be around. August is a very difficult month, so it's nothing.
But we're doing our negotiation now.
As a matter of the Back to Blue event was not attended by any of our police officers. I don't think except the PBA president, because they felt to stay neutral, that, whatever, that was an honor. They didn't, stand in formation at the Back to Blue.
Right.
It wasn't a police function where Memorial Day is Police Memorial Week. We take that Memorial Day very seriously because of Michael Frey.
Yes.
Every year we honor. This year was the 25th anniversary, so that's kind of like their day that they're all here, and we normally have some kind of refreshments after that the whole department's there together. But that's more of the tone. Tony did discuss it with me. Maybe it was my fault not getting back to it. I eventually did when I got those emails.
Just this past weekend.
No,
because I
that's
didn't.
my job to get back to you. I dropped the ball.
We did discuss it, and I did discuss it with the PBA president, and at the time, that's just like how they felt.
Well,
Okay.
the goal is doing something productive going forward. That's the goal.
I totally respect, again, like the police officers and their lives. I'm glad you said that to me. But I'm going to be a little bit stubborn here. And can I ask somebody else? Teresa, why didn't you, email me?
Because I probably assumed that Tony was going to do it. And I also probably, back in my head, I'm thinking COVID time, and it was a big question. Because those kind of events, I do big events, but not that big. Saying how do you do it? It's more of a coordination with a lot of different people. So I personally didn't respond because.
Okay, yeah, I mentioned I didn't know what COVID
So
was
I
going to
didn't
bring, yep. Okay, but
Guys,
so
always
you didn't
call me
email
on
me
the
back
phone.
just to tell me, I don't think I can discuss this with you. That's why?
right.
Councilman Duty, is there a reason why you didn't?
Duly.
Dooley, I'm sorry, I'm the
No, I honestly,
past supervisor. Yeah.
I honestly thought that Tony had responded to you, so I apologize for that. But, I saw what you were trying to do. I didn't know if there was going to be momentum to do it at that time. I thought it was, I thought somebody did respond to you, so I apologize if they didn't, or we didn't. Sometimes we don't respond to an email that we all get, so that's,
Yeah, it's too bad you guys
No,
didn't check to see if somebody did. But actually, Sheila, you did, thanks again. But how come after I said, Sheila, I was looking forward to planning with you, I didn't hear from you again?
Yeah, so I think, part of the problem is when somebody emails the entire town board, right, we all have liaisonships. So if somebody sent an email about the Historical Society to all 5 of us,
You would answer.
and they would assume that, right? And so if somebody sends an email about the police department, whether we should assume or not, I think Tony's going to, because that's kind of his area, and so forth and so on. Joe handles the library, Lake Isle is Mr. Luigi, Teresa does a whole host of departments, so I think that's my point. So maybe that's a mistake on our part, right? We shouldn't all just assume that someone else is going to answer it. But I think your question was answered by everybody here. The Back the Blue was a private event, number one. It wasn't a town-run event. The police department.
I understand that. I didn't say that
No,
it wasn't.
I'm trying to clarify
It's too bad, but that's, anyway, that it
Well,
wasn't.
it's neither here nor there.
I know, I'm just-
Irregardless, it was a tremendous event.
Yeah,
Regardless of who
I heard
sponsored
about
it.
it. I was,
Right.
yeah.
So I think what you heard here from everybody is we're very supportive of that. It's a tough time. It's a busy time, as you can well imagine. I think I was just commenting to Luigi and the supervisor. We were all at, passing each other at multiple events this past weekend. Why is that? Because we just came out of a pandemic. And every single organization, every single group who hasn't been able to do anything anywhere for a year and a half, almost 2 years, is now trying to raise money, right? So they can keep doing what they do in the community. So I can assure you, all of our calendars are filled from now till probably the middle of November, if not December. So, while we're also thinking that's a great idea, you're just kind of thinking in the back of your head, when can we do that? Got to try to juggle that in. We got to fit that. When can we, do you follow? It's a lot.
I understand
The
that
logistics sometimes of doing something of that nature are perhaps larger than anyone could
Yeah,
imagine.
I understand it's a busy time of year. It's
Right.
really busy
But
for
I
me.
think going forward, you
Back
know,
to school,
Right.
working hard,
and you get it. I know you get it.
tired right now,
Right. So I
working
think,
hard.
you know, as the supervisor indicated, spring might be a really good time to, it gives us time to plan, raise money, and do something like that, and get the word out.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful. Can you answer why you didn't get back to me again when I said I'm looking forward to planning with you, though?
Probably because I was busy or I missed it. I have can't give you any one specific answer. I do try to answer everyone that emails me, so.
Okay.
And you had also emailed the mayor of Tuckahoe, so, you know, I thought you were doing something down there, so.
No, she got back to me about that. It would be tough because I didn't email her till the end of August.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, Tim, if you're the one to give them to, but I'm going to give you the tattoos I got for the kids. Thank you for listening.
Very welcome.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Karen.
One more?
Thank you for the opportunity to address the board for the second time. I'll only be a minute.
Okay.
Okay?
No, I was just checking with the chief if there's
Okay.
anybody else. I
No, no.
wasn't saying go. Okay.
Frank Sweeney, 22 Lakeview Avenue. Just 4 items. We've made some progress on Sugazi Field in terms of the parking. It has increased. We're doing okay, but there are just some suggestions that I want to make that may create some additional space. Racino Park has probably 30, 40 spaces. If we could allocate maybe 6, 8, or 10 for their overflow of the Sugazi Field, it's only a half a block away, so we could get some parking down on the parking area. That may be an easy solution.
You know, it's if I could piggyback on that solution, what I would suggest is reaching out to the president of the baseball league and asking him to have all of his coaches park their cars and the umpires down in that area. What happens is guys show up, they have a game, they have a couple kids in the car, they pull up as close as they can, and you know they really should be parking further down, like at the league at Garth Road, right? Park behind the left field fence in the area back there. It's Sunday. There's 70 spaces that are wide open, rather than park right in front. Let everybody that's coming to watch the game, the grandmothers and grandparents, at all park there. So that would
There's
be
no problem. I agree
suggestion.
100%. If we can get them to do it, and if we get the recreational department to kind of nicely suggest, hey, there's plenty of parking down there. You don't have to illegally park the cars. I want to thank Ellen and Lieutenant Brunstein for their help in terms of trying to mitigate us through this little issue here. There's another suggestion that they may want to take a look at. Going up Hewitt Street from Woodward to Lakeview, that's an uphill stretch. They park over and up over onto the curb.
Wait, say it again?
Yeah, but I'm trying to.
On Hewitt, between,
Wait, on Woodruff, you said?
no, on Hewitt Avenue,
Oh,
going
Hewitt.
up the hill.
Yeah, okay. Ewart,
Hewitt,
up the hill,
up the hill.
before Tom Laurie's old house.
There you go. Maybe a couple of big boulders on the green space.
Why, because they're parking on, jumping the curb. That's
They're
a
jumping
dangerous
the
place,
curb.
too, because it's a very inclined hill.
It may be easy, but that would be my suggestion. The third thing is that I know Ellen mentioned the scooters. I bike fairly frequently on the Bronx River pathway from Harney Road to Bronxville almost on a daily basis. And I can guarantee you those electric bikes are going more than 20 miles an hour on that pathway. I don't know if they have any responsibility in that, but that's running from Harney Road down to the Bronxville town. And they're going fast, believe me. They're all electric, there's no lights, and there's no one paying any attention to it, none. The last item which I'd like to just leave you with is really a question. We spoke about Woodruff Avenue and the sewage that we have at the end of the tunnel there. We had a hell of a storm. I guarantee you that. There was probably nothing we could do to resolve it. But what we have right now is we need to solve a health problem. There is human waste floating down that Avenue, and it needs to be corrected. We can't sweep it under the bridge. We already know that MTA is not going to give them the capability to go into the tunnel, the viaduct. They've already turned it down. I'm asking two questions. Where does the convergence of the sewage and the stormwater come together? No one has been able to tell me that. All I'm doing is asking a simple question. Tell me where it is.
Well, I discussed this matter with Margaret Yulee.
Okay.
And as you know, Margaret is, very generous with her time and very patient.
Absolutely.
She became angry with me because I was asking her about what you had said, because she said she's explained this multiple times. And we've spent tons of time at planning board meetings and zoning board meetings going over the situation there, and that they have spent thousands and thousands of dollars engineering, planning, doing bypasses, clear outs, and all this stuff which has to happen. And once that happens, then we will do another analysis of it. And, Margaret became a little twisted because she said, I've gone over this with Mr. Sweeney and Mr. Galenick dozens of times. Not to be disrespectful, but she's like, I don't, they are just choosing not to accept what we're telling them, and they keep repeating themselves, but they're not going to solve anything. The engineer has come up with a plan. They've done the whole, gamut of whatever it was they were supposed to do. It was 5 or 6 points of a plan, including, 30 grand or so for camera interviews, scoping of the pipes and all of that, which I don't know if that's been done yet.
No, it has not.
But it's all part of this process that they're going through. But I know.
And I'll agree with Margaret. She's done an outstanding job in terms of the capability of presenting what needs to be presented. But I'm asking just two simple questions. Where does it converge? We know where it ends up. And how am I going to get it to Yonkers processing plant? That's the only two questions I have.
Yeah, I can't answer those.
They can't answer it. That's the issue. That is the issue. And now we have a health problem. We don't have a sewer problem anymore because they're going to put another manhole cover in. We don't have a sewer problem. We fixed that. We've got a health problem, Tony.
Well, I have to speak to Margaret about it. I know this has all been remedied, but...
I'd just like to get it on the board. You've been put on notice.
Sure.
It needs to be resolved. That's a bus stop where the kids get on the school bus in the morning at Woodruff and Scarsdale Avenue. Guess what they're standing in? I don't want to say any more. I need your help. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Else? Okay, wonderful. Okay, that being the end of our public opportunity to address the board, someone care to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.